Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael. I will just wait for a few moments while everybody joins our session here, and we'll do the introductions. Hi, everyone. We're just taking a few seconds before we welcome our panel here this afternoon. Okay, so let's begin. So hello, everyone. My name is Michael. I work here in the UCD Smurfit Careers Network here on campus in Blackrock in County Dublin. I'm delighted to welcome you this afternoon just to have a review of what the career service is, and also to welcome back some of our recent alumni. So we will go to explain a little bit who and where we are. We have a three-stage development program here, professional development program. I'll look a little bit at graduate outcomes from a recent class. And as I mentioned, welcome to Fabiola and to Emmett. So say hello. Fabiola, you want to say hello?
Yes, of course. Hi there, I'm Fabiola. Very much looking forward to this panel.
Thank you. Hello, Emmett.
Hey guys, hey Michael, hey everyone. Looking forward to having a chat here.
Good. So we will be asking some questions of our panel in the latter section of our webinar here today. And also, please put any questions you have to myself or to the panel in the Q&A function, please. So any questions at all, put them in the Q&A and we'll get to them before we complete here this afternoon. So let's move along. So our Smurfit Careers Network careers team is based here, as I said, in Blackrock. And we are on campus. We are privileged in the sense that we are the only postgraduate business school within UCD to have our own dedicated careers team. We are open on campus every day from 9:30 to 5. The office here is located strategically beside the cash point. So if you think cash equals careers, then you'll know where to find us. And if you want to reach out to us any other time, then you just drop a line by email. That is the main communications method at UCD. So that's our little office, and you can perhaps, if you are here with us next year, you will come and perhaps visit us for our one-to-one appointments. So we are located, as I said, here on campus. You don't not have to leave for that. So when you come to UCD Smurfit, all right, so we will invite you to participate in your career development, or sometimes we call it professional development. Just to say that the recent stats, 89% of the 2019 class were in employment within 6 months. So that was according to the most recent statistics we have on graduate outcomes based on a survey. So as you can see, that is a stat that is pretty high, and it would be similar to other years as well. So we are just waiting on the post-COVID stats to come to us. But suffice it to say, we are happy with how our students are managing to find employment here in Ireland and abroad. So as part of that process of how to get yourself into your next job, we kind of break it down into three main stages. Stage one is looking at setting you up for success. So at the very outset, even before you join, and I'll explain that in a moment. Stage two is about building career skills, lifelong career skills that will stand you in good stead in your workplace in years to come. And also then about networks, and we will assist you in this whole idea of how to build a network. And finally then, as many employers would tell us, our Smurfit students are very good at getting into recruitment processes, but sometimes it's about, well, success at interview and being able to get that offer and get it over the line. So we put a lot of time and effort nowadays into providing a lot of resources around this interview skills element, and particularly as a lot has gone online, and I'll show that in a moment. Okay, so we are so serious about setting you up for success here at UCD Smurfit. For those of you who decide to register and to apply, we will be sending you access to a CV writing tool next summer, a few months before you even join us here on campus. And that CV building tool is there to get you started, because particularly if you're interested in the graduate recruitment market, there are many graduate programs that will open up not long after you begin. So we are serious about trying to get you in a good place for that particular recruitment cycle. Also, other resources that we will give to you during the summer will be a program called Jumpstart, and you can access that again. It's an online course, particularly for those of you coming from perhaps outside of Dublin or from overseas who are not familiar with particularly with the Irish Dublin market, the recruitment market. It helps you get to grips with what it means and what you need to do. And finally then, as part of our pre-sessional invitation for you to engage with your career development, we run 2 webinars, one around general careers strategies, and that's in July. And then in August, we have a very specific one based around the work you've been doing on developing your CV. And that is late August. Step 2 then is, once you have then come on campus, right? So you've gone through the whole process of registration, found your accommodation, and you're during your first week here at Smurfit. And we will provide a professional development workshop as part of orientation. Right? And that's for every single master's program. There is a professional development workshop for you. And this will help you then understand the language of recruitment, this whole idea of what competencies are, and you will learn from our alumni. So not only will you have an opportunity to speak to some of our alumni today, but also within a few days of joining us, you will also be introduced to alumni once again, who are really the industry experts at this stage. And then step 3, if you still need it, you're welcome then to start coming to visit us on a one-to-one basis, what we call one-to-one career coaching. And you can book that through online portals here at Smurfit. So that stage, we'll be inviting you to think about roles and areas that you would like to focus on in terms of starting your job search. All right, so that is the one-to-one career coaching for all of our students. You're welcome to join us here in September. So stage 2 then, we are talking about building career skills right throughout the trimesters. And it's looking then at job search strategies. We provide some seminars on this. And this is equally applicable then, would be looking at entry level and experienced hires. So many of you would be decide, well, what is the difference? Well, entry level people, we would call them maybe graduates sometimes. And this is for people with less than 3 years relevant work experience. Then we have, as I said, the experienced hire folks, and that would be 3 years plus. And more, we get more and more experienced hires joining our master's programs every year. It's currently about 21% of the class of 22, the new intake who started back in September. There's about 21% of those who we would categorize as experienced hires, and that trend is growing year on year. And then particularly for those guys, then we're looking at personal awareness building, being able to tell your story and influence recruiters and interviewers about giving you that offer. So it's being able to create unique stories based on your own personal awareness. And we have a lot of tools that would help you with that, particularly online assessment tools. So then as you go beyond looking at what you have to offer, then it is about building networks. And you can do that in many ways. There are particularly a lot of job fairs that you get involved in. In trimester 1, we have the general UCD job fairs. And then in trimester 2, we have a Smurfit specific job fair. There are many alumni events that are my colleagues in the alumni team upstairs. They will run alumni events throughout the year. And then, of course, we have the opportunity for you to engage with, if you should wish to, the International Alumni Network. We have a tool called Firsthand. And then, of course, as I said, the alumni team, they have what we call alumni chapters around the world. So on any one year, the trend hasn't really changed a lot, but we survey all of our students as they enter. And it would appear that year on year, as high as 83 to 84% of our students want to stay in Ireland. So I think we're probably unique a little bit when it comes to international business schools on this trend, but a lot of people want to stay here. And so step 3 then is trying to, encourage you to start applying for jobs, and particularly the graduate programs in this trimester 1 period. And we have a number of dedicated job platforms that you can get access to. And that is also international job platforms such as Hired. And that is particularly for those grad programs that are available in other European markets, larger like Germany and France, that perhaps we don't have access to here in Ireland, but you do once you join. And so stage 3 then is once you've kind of got yourself to a place where you understand what you have to offer, you've done a bit of work around personal awareness, you've built out your CV, you're starting to target those CVs to particular job applications. Then we'd look a little bit broader at maybe online branding. And it never has it been so important as today in this post-COVID scenario that we're in now in terms of recruitment, about how employers are researching for you. And that is a lot to do with online branding. And we have quite a lot of material and resources also around LinkedIn and how to land your next job with LinkedIn. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of resources nowadays around this idea of interview skills. And alumni would attest down the years, they would come, and it's only really when they start interviewing and getting into those interview processes, they realize actually this is a skill and we need to practice. So we provide some opportunities for mock interviews, sometimes by employers, but what we do find is very prevalent nowadays is what is called the recorded interview. And that's basically you receive a link by email, you go online and you answer some questions that pop up on the screen. And many of our students would never have had the opportunity to practice this, but you will have that opportunity when you join us here at Smurfit. There's a tool called Interview 360 where we can give written feedback and we can give you a performance report on your interview skills. Okay, so this is again our, I suppose, intent to help you land that job offer. And also, finally, then step 3 is to remember to keep involved in all of the extracurricular activities that happen here at Smurfit and beyond on the main campus at UCD. Employers are very keen to learn about your personality, and so they want to know, well, what is it you get up to in your spare time? And so this is why extracurricular activities are key, particularly for senior managers, because they need to understand your fit for their organization. And again, many opportunities, and you will hear about those as we go out the recruitment period here before you join us here in Smurfit, and you will have an opportunity to learn more about those. So that's just a little bit around what it is you can expect from the professional development or career program here at Smurfit once you join us next September. Just a quick review of, again, that stat, the 89% of our I suppose the class of the one we most recent data, the 2019, and you will see there on the left the sample employers. So as again, a lot of the top companies here in Ireland, the top ranked companies would recruit from the Smurfit Business School, and you can see there consultancy firms, you can see large techies, the companies that you would expect Smurfit students to end up in. And so that's good to see that from year on year, these companies will still stay on that list. And you are, in a good position when you join us here to go through your masters, and you will now have opportunities to apply for these companies year on year. Sample roles then right over on the other side. Huge variety of masters here. 22, I think, was the last count. So of course, these jobs then, the kind of jobs that our students go for again will be a huge variety of roles, from project management, consulting, accountancy, HR, investment, the typical jobs you would see from a business school. You would be glad to see that our students will land those year on year. Okay, so that's just a very quick brief, and probably the last thing I will say about there is even about, as I said, about 82, 83% of our students, when they come into the school, say they want to stay in Ireland. And, it is a significant number. 77% of that class 2019 did stay in Ireland post program. All right. So again, a large people want to stay here and a large group do stay here. So that's just the stats proving themselves out there. Okay. Now, enough about me and what we just about telling you about stuff. Next part of our session here this afternoon is to invite our panel to answer some questions I suppose, about their experiences and where they are to date. So the first thing I will do is I will ask both of them to introduce themselves and just tell us a little bit about what they are doing today in this post-COVID reality that we're in at this moment. So I'll invite Fabiola. Hello, Fabiola.
Hi again. Thanks so much for having me here. So I'm Fabiola Schneider. Initially, I did my undergrad in business chemistry at the University of Düsseldorf in Germany before coming here to Smurfit. And then I did the MSc Renewable Energy and Environmental Finance, graduating in 2018. And what can I say? I liked it so much, I decided to stay along. And now I'm a PhD student here in Smurfit with the Department of Banking and Finance. The topic of my PhD is sustainable finance. Specifically, my research mainly revolves around the climate crisis. So usually the E in ESG for people familiar with the topic. However, I'm lucky that through my research, I'm also involved in a range of different research projects related to these topics. One of them is the European Commission's platform on sustainable finance, where I'm supporting UCD's Professor Andreas Höppner as his so-called Sherpa. And I'm also research co-lead at the Greenwatch initiative. That's an AI tool designed to detect greenwashing in the market.
Good. So it sounds like quite a busy role, Fabiola. So thank you for sharing that with us. So hello, Emmett. How are you today?
I'm very good, thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Emmett. I did my undergraduate degree in UCD. I did it in Commerce International with Spanish, as part of which I spent a year in Valencia in Spain. Graduated in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, before doing a master's in Smurfit, in which I did it in the MSc Marketing Development Program, the MDP. Graduated in 2020. And I'm now working for a software company called HubSpot. And I work there as a business development representative. So I work in sales, software sales. That's me.
Very good. So almost immediately there, I can see, thank you, Emmett. You contrast one person coming from a non-business background. Would that be fair, Fabiola? Chemistry is...
yeah, so it's a double degree. So there is some business in it, but yeah, it's natural science, chemistry as well.
Very good, very good. And then Emmett, you're almost in a linear fashion from the BCom onto a master's in business.
Yeah, the more standard route.
More linear approach, yes.
Yeah, I didn't exactly carve the path, but yeah.
Good, good. And so I suppose then, Fabiola, let's maybe ask you then. So why did you decide to choose to study at Smurfit? What was your reason for joining us?
I very specifically chose this unique master that Smurfit offers, Renewable Energy and Environmental Finance, because I think it offers a well-balanced curriculum between a profound understanding of financial theory, but at the same time also niche expertise on very timely issues surrounding the environment and sustainability in a more broader sense. My program combined lectures from different departments. So beyond finance, for example, we had a policy module shared with the energy engineers. This also meant that while my master's had a core group of students, a lot of classes were shared with different other programs. That's fantastic for exposure and really broadens one's horizon. It kind of matches my undergrad. Even there, I liked the different aspects, not just chemistry, but combining it with a bit of business. What I really appreciated about this master's, and specifically Smurfit, that as a business school, even in a master's of finance, it was perfectly suitable for both business and non-business graduates. It was no issue for me to apply having that chemistry background, and my business background didn't really include much on finance, but that was no problem because the course allowed for me to catch up, and it's designed in a way that no matter your background, you're brought up to speed and to the same level as your classmates. That also was reflected in my classmates. We had really different backgrounds whatsoever, people from banking, sure, people from finance, but also people from geology, and all sorts of subjects. Was really interesting.
Very good. However, I suppose it's the common approach of the renewable. Was that the kind of the focus that might have drawn you? It's kind of a unique program, renewable
energy and environmental finance. Yes.
Yeah. So that's. And did you find this master's? Were there any other ones around the world that perhaps you could have applied to as well? Well,
English speaking is of course also a limiting factor because. Well, for me, German and English was really the only options to do such a complicated master's in. Mm-hmm. And there is a few others, but they're usually not focusing as much on renewable energy. There's some climate finance masters. It's also very important to me that this is a Master of Science. There's a lot of sustainability masters, but usually they're Masters of Art.
Right.
And from a chemistry background, I just wanted to continue that MSc journey. So that really was a deciding factor for me.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, Dublin is the best city in the world, so that probably helped you decide also. Emmett, so again, we've established that you did the BCom here at UCD. So why marketing and why the MDP?
Yeah, good question. Simple answer is I didn't want to do accounting. So I was in the commerce degree, BCom in UCD, and pretty much everyone around me was doing accounting. I'm not saying it's a bad career, just wasn't for me, right? I knew I didn't want to do that. So I was like, what else can I do, right? And I went out actually to the open day, which was in person at the time, in 2019-ish. And I got speaking to some people from the MDP. They were telling me about some of the projects they were doing, and it just really intrigued me. Wanted to do something a bit more kind of creative, such as marketing. And the MDP sounded really cool. So I was chatting to these people who were doing the MDP at the time. They were telling me about it. For those who don't know, it's a very practical master's. The basis of it is real companies come in to the course. They pay the course money. The students don't get paid, unfortunately. But they pay the course money to carry out these projects. The students go away and work on them, and then come back and present the findings of the marketing project to the company. So that sounded really intriguing to me. It ended up being really interesting, but that was what won me over initially.
Very good. So what I'm hearing from you is that it is quite a unique, very practical program here in Ireland in particular anyway. And it's that level of practicality, almost like you learn as you study, you learn through your work. And then how about the course content then? How does that match up then with all of those projects you have to do?
Sure. I mean, the premise of the course is what's called action learning. So it's learning by doing, but you have to know what you're doing. So we do have some academic modules, of course, during the week as well. I believe, so we were in 9 to 5 every day, working on projects, and I believe it was 2 modules per semester. So it was about 4 hours of classroom time per week. And then what you learned in the classroom with some top faculty, you put into practice on these projects and throughout the rest of your time at Smurfit.
So they were aligned. The academic was quite aligned. They
were indeed. The idea being that what you learn in the classroom, you actually implement during these action projects.
And so what surprised you then? Can you remember, can you recall, was there anything that surprised you about, the method of study, or, when you joined, can you recall, was there something, oh God, I was surprised by that?
Couple of things, yeah. First day was pretty surreal, to be honest. I came from the BCom, as we said, which is very, if you're late for the lecture or you're not there, nobody really knows. Whereas in the MSc in marketing practice, we've got our own little office in Smurfit. It's down the back. Everyone wears business attire. You're in 9 to 5. It's very much like a real world working office, which is a bit of a surprise to me. I'd worked in jobs here and there, but nothing quite like this. So it was a perfect stepping stone, we'll say, from college life to the real world of work. And I got a bit of a shock on the first day when everyone's, sitting in their seats for 9 a.m., suits on, and it's getting to work. So yeah. So
a high level of professionalism instilled 100%. Immediately in your. I suppose it's from the marketing and the image and all of that. It comes together, and yes, it's a serious show. So yes, again, anybody wants to ask questions, please put them into the Q&A as we go. And then what about Fabiola? Fabiola, coming from overseas, having to come here and set yourself up. What surprised you, can you recall, from your first days at Smurfit?
Yeah, I can actually very much echo what Emmett said earlier about the practical implementation of what we're learning. So during my undergrad, I was used to, lab work and so on, those kind of practical works in chemistry. But as for business, I was really surprised by the amount of guest talks and real world insights, all the networking activities that Smurfit offers. The whole education here really goes beyond theory. So the focus is also on the variety of assignments all throughout the semester. It's not just that last week where you finally have to show up. And that was a bit new to me in a business sense. there was a lot of group work and presentations, and they are quite business professional. People do dress up for it, and you're being really taken seriously during your presentation. So it's nice to get that engagement. And while it may not feel like it's very comfortable or the nicest during your studies, I mean, no one really likes group work, but then afterwards you realize that it's great preparation for what's to come in professional life later and team.
So you're touching on a number of points there, I suppose, that we would hear year on year, and it is one of those things that surprise our students the most. The level of, I suppose, the professionalism required for presentations, and that again is a distinguishing feature at the master's level. And then, of course, the teams, trying to work through teams, and which is practically
clashing work ethics and so on,
yeah.
But that's life. So it's really good
Right.
preparation in a safe environment such as Smurfit.
Good. So those again are areas that students, I suppose, who are listening to us here today, potential students, keep those, this way of studying and the way of working we have here at Smurfit very much would push you towards maybe out of your comfort zone. Not many people will have done presentations, but communications is one of the top business skills that people need today. So yeah, we do push guys out of their comfort zone on that. And of course, Emmett, you must have been doing presentations on a very regular basis, I guess, on your master's.
We did indeed. We had a lot of presentations. I had some in the BCom, but not that many. So it was a real shock, to be honest. But it's one of the things that's really stood to me since. I mean, we had a Monday morning meeting, which was an hour-long presentation every Monday morning on how projects were progressing and so forth. And one of the students on the program would host that every Monday. And then we had a Friday morning meeting every week where a number of students would present presentations on different marketing topics. So we did a lot of presentations, and it's absolutely stood me in good sense. It's stood to me since, so I should say.
Yes. And have you seen that play out now into your current role? Have you had to?
Yeah, 100%. So I work in sales, and I'm talking to clients, prospective clients, pretty much every single day of the week, and I'm showing them presentations and demonstrations of our software. So absolutely, these skills have stood to me since, for sure.
Good. And I guess HubSpot probably would have noticed, and that would add to, I suppose, your cachet when it comes into this idea of the recruitment process. And these companies are well aware of what our students bring when it comes to what they can offer these large companies here in Dublin. So that's good. It's seen and it's playing out in the work life as well. You mentioned the team, so just go back there for a moment. Emmett, I'll just stick with you because I know that over on the MDPs there's quite a lot of team. Well, you are working on projects and a lot of team based. What did you learn about working in teams? What advice would you give?
Yeah, we did. You're right. We did work on a lot of teams. We had what we call learning sets. So you're in this team of 4 people for the entire year, and you would work on certain year-long projects with them for the entire year. And then every different project would come in, you'd have a different team. So you're on 2-3 different teams at any one time. A lot of learnings. There's often a clash of ideas, clash of personalities, and these things are natural in teams and continue into the working world. So you really learn how to manage yourself, manage others, and succeed in a team of different people and different personalities. And that happens in the workplace all the time. I'm always working in teams in HubSpot on different initiatives. So that experience I gained in Smurfit working on all these different teams has been invaluable since. But you learn how to manage yourself. You become a lot more self-reflective, self-aware, and you learn how you work in teams, and you can work on yourself as well.
Great. So that's that awareness about how you work in teams and also how others around you behave in teams as well. So that's good. That's good. Fabiola, I want to ask you a question then about were there elements of the masters that you've been able to bring now to bear? For example, when you work on the research as co-lead on Greenwatch, or on the platform of sustainable finance, do you find yourself better prepared?
Yeah, and before I go to that, maybe a quick comment on the team thing. While I fully agree with what Emmett said there, I would also add the cultural aspect. So it's quite international place, and personally, I'm not from Ireland, so I can vouch for that. It's quite a different experience as well, and you will notice that cultural clash as well, and cultural awareness is very important when working in teams. So it's a really good practice again to come to Smurfit and experience that environment.
So it's not only people from different academic backgrounds, different, but it's also about the cultural differences as well. And so that's very important to highlight. Yeah, and that is reflected more and more in our work environment every day of the week.
I would say so, yeah.
Even here at UCD, which is quite an Irish university, you can see in our teams here, there are quite a number of international people working here. So it is the future. It is definitely the future. So Fabiola, yeah, anything that's you bring into your current work then on these projects that you've brought from the Masters?
Yeah, I mean, I got really great, unique and niche insights from this Masters. It's a very specific one. So while on the one hand, it brings you up to speed in terms of just a solid foundation of finance, then these niche expertise and insights allow you to do the work that I'm doing now. The Greenwatch project combines computer science and finance and sustainability. So it's green data science, which is really a mix of 3 different areas. So finding people who understand all sides of it can be quite challenging. And you always need someone who brings it all together. That's why I'm research co-lead, because I can at least partly understand all the bits of it, which allows me to manage team members that come from their respective areas and to combine their knowledge and then make it all work.
Great. So it's good to see, areas of the Masters that's impacting your current role, and as you see, and where do you see your own? Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. Now that it's not for me anymore. Back when I was doing, we did not have that module yet, but I know that afterwards we implemented this module called Green Data Science,
Ooh.
and that's really one of the best modules you can pick for any future career in the field, because it gives you a solid foundation as well in data science, which in the current digital world really is crucial.
It is crucial and pervasive across all roles nowadays. I'm sure Emmett at HubSpot as well, you would see data as such a core skill. Anything.
So it's great to see that the Masters is adapting and going with the time.
Good. So again, as I said there, in terms of your own career development, Fabiola, where do you see yourself in a few years' time?
The one question you're not allowed to ask a PhD is finish. No, I hope to finish my PhD next year. And I'm currently looking to probably stay in the academic career. My experience at Smurfit is a really nice one, and the academic career is quite different to your usual, professional job in the corporate world. I'm really enjoying the flexibility and freedom that academia gives you, also in opinion and in where you want to take your research. I'm very grateful to UCD to give me the opportunity to carry out independent research. So I look to continue that.
Of course, but I guess, and some people kind of maybe forget that sometimes, that even while working on the PhD, you're still engaging with the corporate, the corporate world constantly.
Very much so. Yeah, my PhD is also impact driven. So in research, you kind of differentiate between theoretical and impact driven work. And what I'm doing is very much impact focused. That's also why I'm on these bodies like the platform on sustainable finance and so on. It's really nice because you can see the real world implications of the things you're studying.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you so much for answering some of my questions. I think now we will move to answer the questions of the audience here today. So my colleague, Kathy, I think you're with us here. Would you like to give us some of the questions? Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks very much, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Timlin, the Marketing Manager in UCD Smurfit School. So wonderful to hear as well from Fabiola and Emmett. So we'll just go through some of the questions that have come in, and thank you so much for your questions and engagement. The first question there actually relates to part-time opportunities on our programs. Most of our programs are full-time masters, but people can opt to undertake most of those programs part-time. But bear in mind that you would have to attend lectures quite often during the working day. So we do get a small number of part-time students joining the courses, and there are a small number of dedicated part-time programs available to students. We have a part-time MSc in project management, which is delivered as an evening course, and we also have an MSc in management, which is delivered 2 years part-time, and that's done kind of in a block release format. At MBA level, we do have options for full-time and executive part-time over 2 years as well. So I think that kind of covers part-time options. And obviously, as a part-time student, you are able to avail of the career service as well as a Smurfit student. So the question has come in for Emmett as well, Emmett, relating to, was there any particular project that you worked on when you were completing your course? Was it were all your projects based in Smurfit, or were you out at company sites?
No, we were out and about. We did a number of interesting projects. We did a couple of cool companies like Mini Cooper. I know this year they had a company called Hot Chip, which is this cool cookie company in Dublin. One of the big projects we did was for a company called Pierce Lyons Distillery, which is a distillery down in the Liberties. And it was a market research project. So we were out and about Dublin City, interviewing all these tourists and gathering some research, and we presented to the Pierce Lyons Distillery team in the distillery. So a lot of it is outside the Smurfit for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you explained, Emmett, you're working in an office environment, suited and booted when you come into the school every day. So it's very much a functioning marketing service really within the school. So another question, just it's related to the MDP and specifically work experience. Somebody is a graduate with 3 years work experience. There is quite a, I suppose, and Emmett, you can probably talk to this in terms of the application process involved. I think if you have work experience, that's obviously an advantage, but do you want to maybe address that just in terms of how to apply and the criteria there to enter the MDP?
100%. The MDP, I am a business graduate, but some of the people who excel in the MDP weren't at all, and a lot do have industry experience too. You can apply online. You can go to mdp.ie and you can apply there, or smurfitschool.ie and apply there. There's an interview process as well. But what I would say is industry experience is absolutely welcomed. I mean, some of the top performers in the MDP are people like teachers who've teaching experience, pharmacists. We've had actors, all these interesting people. So it's not exclusive to business graduates. Other backgrounds are welcome, and industry experience is a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely, Emmett, and well said. And I think it's and you probably touched on this as well, Fabiola, given your own background. I mean, the suite of marketing master's programs that we offer here are open to all disciplines really. In recent years, that diversity has grown, which we're delighted to see, and it obviously enriches the learning experience for our students as well. So a question just for yourself, Fabiola, kind of relating to obviously learning through English, and maybe some challenges around that. How did you find your experience of that coming to Ireland?
So there's really a lot of support services. We already touched upon the ones for finding a job, but also during the educational phase. For example, as you're mentioning, as a non-native in English for the first time, I greatly benefited from the writing workshops that are hosted by Smurfit, who specifically look into academic English, because even when you learn English, in school through movies and so on, it's a very different tone that you need to adapt. So Smurfit really has support mechanisms to help any of the international students arriving. The needs of international students were also touched upon during orientation. There were specific events on culture and all these things, helping people to smoothly transition to their new hometown. I would also say that I greatly benefited from all the presentations we mentioned. They're regularly occurring as part of assignments, and they're really helping to advance your spoken English.
Great. And Fabiola, there was a question around sort of living expenses and moving to Ireland. Is that something that you could perhaps address as well from your own experience?
Yeah, not gonna lie. Dublin is an expensive city. Coming from Germany, our studying is a bit different. We don't have any fees for masters, and any student gets free healthcare and free public transport. So coming to Dublin was a bit of a shock in that sense. And therefore, my advice would be to really, if you're not from Dublin, and that probably goes for the entire nation, not just foreigners, not from Dublin could be a bit taken aback by the housing situation. So you really plan ahead and factor in enough time to thoroughly engage with the challenges a move here can pose, and to make sure that this whole transition is as smooth as possible, so that you can fully focus on your studies and embrace and enjoy campus life.
Great. And Michael, I think you want to address that one as well, do you?
I think the admissions team would have a more detailed overview of typical expenses that international students would need on an annual basis. So
yeah,
I think that you can ask those questions there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Emmett, another question just in terms of opportunities career-wise that you had after completing the Masters.
Sure. It tended to go one of two ways. People either went to marketing or sales. The marketing roles are things like assistant brand managers, and they tend to be in companies like FMCG companies, like food companies, like Danone, Alltech, some of these. And the sales route tends to be in tech companies. There's so many tech companies in Dublin now, places like HubSpot, Salesforce, Datadog, these different places. So they then tended to be the two routes, either tech, sales, or assistant brand management in FMCG companies.
Great.
Just to add to that, you know, from a general marketing perspective, some of the agencies as well hire our students. So there are marketing agencies here in Dublin, digital marketing agencies, general marketing agencies, huge ones like Ogilvy. You know, there are quite a lot of agencies now in Ireland, and so some of our students go there as well.
Great. Michael, there is a question there from a candidate who's going to join us on the Business Analytics Masters next September. Just looking for some advice on academic preparation and preparing, I suppose, for the job market in Ireland.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's an international student.
Yes. So the program managers, the academic directors who you've had an opportunity to speak to will give you more specific information around the academic prep, which isn't too onerous from what I recall. You know, students, when they join us, they will look at doing some certifications, etc. But most of the work will be done while you're here with us. Now that's the academic prep. From the career preparation, particularly if you're coming from a non-Irish or non-even EU jurisdiction, there's lots you can do, and we will be sending information out to our incoming candidates, you know, as early as June, July of next year. So before that, there's nothing really you need to do. But once you start seeing the information, the emails coming to you as an applicant, that's the time to start getting prepared. So taking the summer of 22 is a great way to prepare and be best set up for success when you join us in September.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fabiola, I just wanted to expand a little bit on something you mentioned, I touched on, and also Emmett, like the intercultural element. At the school here now, we have an intercultural development program, which all of our master's students are eligible to complete now while they're doing their masters, and that's been hugely successful and really well received by our students. And alongside that, we also have a global leadership program again, which is kind of looking more at the soft skills of our students. And again, that is now, it's now open to all master's students to complete that. So it's great to have all these additional elements to our programs. Obviously, the Career Service offers tremendous supports through the workshops and one-to-ones, you know, which Michael covered earlier. So there's a lot there to make sure that you are job and work ready at the end of your course.
Very good.
Great. I'll hand back to you, Michael. I think we've pretty much addressed all the questions. Yes. And we're almost out of time.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Kathy, for addressing those questions to us here this afternoon. I think that you know, it's great to be able to listen to the experience of our alumni year on year, and you know, it's so rewarding to hear what the learnings have been and the positivity that have come from them as they take up their new lives in areas beyond the Smurfit School. Of course, Fabiola is not totally ready to leave us entirely just yet, but it's good to see you know, her involved in you know, pan-European activities as well. And Emmett, who's joined one of the up-and-coming, you know, unicorns of the future, if not today already, at HubSpot. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation to come back and to share some of your experiences and your knowledge about your time at Smurfit. and thank you. And we will keep in touch. And thank you to our audience here this afternoon for those questions. You know, this session is really there for you to be able to give you an insight into, you know, the experiences of those who've gone before you. So thank you very much. And we will obviously look forward to having you join us next September. So thank you everyone here today.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks. Pleasure.